So I'm having a chat with Blue. Violet, how are you both?
Very good,
Hey, how you
thank you. How
doing?
you
Good.
doing?
Good, yeah, not too bad. So we've been playing a single of yours called Sweet Success. Tell us a bit about the single.
Do you want to
You
take
go
sort?
for it. You go
Yeah.
for it.
So Sweet Success, I guess, is about the ironies of human behavior and the way that we kind of go about our daily pursuits of success in the modern world and whatever that means to the individual. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I think like the way that we made the song, with the kind of like robotic cess at the start, it's kind of like the idea of like the pursuit of success in a kind of
In the collective, I
yeah,
guess.
in the collective. So it's like we're all kind of trying to go for the same thing. And it kind of removes us from our individuality in a way. And it was meant to be that kind of robotic feel, almost like an army of businessmen in suits, kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, no, yeah, and that's off your second record, which is out
That's right.
now. Faux Animo. Hopefully, I
Yeah,
pronounced that right. For,
perfect.
for those who've not heard it yet, tell us what we can hear on the record.
Well, Sweet Success actually kind of it feeds into the theme a little bit of the album. I mean, I think all of the songs do in some ways, but Sweet Success particularly, it's a lot about the ironies of human behavior. And I think like when we were making this album, we realized that there was like a theme that was kind of coming out of it, which was like observing humans and how we're kind of moving a little bit away from our natural instincts. And that was kind of, and maybe I guess our animalistic natures, which is sort of where the title Faux Animo came from. Uh, but in the kind of making of this album, we decided we wanted something that was a little bit more. I guess we were thinking a lot about the live show as well when
Mm.
we were making it. So we wanted songs that were going to be kind of like livening up the live show. And so we brought in a lot more synth than the previous record, and a kind of like blend of synth and guitar for this one. But it's kind of yeah, it's a bit of it's still got the kind of like gentler songs. Like The Librarian is a little more slow paced, but I think there's definitely more energy in this album than the last.
Nice, nice. And the sound that you made with this record, was it the sound you wanted, or is it just kind of how it turned out in the studio?
Yeah, I think it turned out pretty much exactly what we wanted and more, really. I think we chose the perfect person to work with, or rather, they agreed to work with us. We were lucky. But a guy called TJ Allen, who is really, he's just like a sound wizard, basically. He mixed the first album, and we really enjoyed working with him. And his knowledge of synth and electronic music is really good. So when we wanted to kind of dip into that world, um, but still kind of keep the identity that we had on the first album, he was kind of the perfect person to collaborate with on that. Yeah, and I remember thinking at the end of it, like, you kind of go into it with a an idea of how you would want it to sound, and I think if you get that and manage to surpass it in some way, or kind of exceed your expectations, then that's kind of a pretty good thing, I guess, personally
It's
speaking.
what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. And I'm sure you wrote more than what made it onto this record. What happens to those now? Are you going to consider them again down the line, or do you think you might just bin them off and you'll start again?
It's
Yeah,
funny with making an album because you have like this huge catalog of songs, and maybe some of the songs that you think, oh yeah, that's definitely going to be on the album, and then once you've finished making the album and you listen back to those songs, you're like, oh, I don't like that anymore, or maybe you do, but it just doesn't really serve a purpose for that record. So I
yeah. I
think
guess
it's
if you're sticking to a theme as well on an
yeah,
album, then you might pick things that go with that rather than. So it's not necessarily that you've left behind songs that like aren't as good. Um, so yeah, we were actually looking at them the other day.
mm,
Some of the kind of B sides, if you like, and wondering if we maybe want to put some of those out as well, just
yeah,
for people to hear.
Yeah,
never say never.
no, yeah, sounds good to me. I like to talk about the writing as well. So for you guys, how do tracks normally start off?
um, it's a good question, that, because I don't. Some people wonder if there's like lyrics or music first. And I genuinely can never really remember. Because I think that they sometimes just comes from playing the guitar for a while, and then suddenly you'll realize that you've kind of forgotten about the fact that you're playing it, and something just pops into your head. And I feel like that kind of, once you've had that moment where you feel like you've had a good idea, then you try and latch onto that for the next half an hour or something before the kind of moment of inspiration goes. And then everything after that is, I guess, editing and trying to make the lyrics fit to the first verse, or trying to kind of sculpt a chorus or whatever. So yeah, I guess it starts with like a moment of inspiration.
Yeah. And when you've got the music first and you've got to fit the lyrics to it, is it pretty straightforward to create the lyrics, or is it a bit of a challenge at times?
I think if I've got it, if there is like a riff or something, and you're like, oh, I really like that riff, I want to turn that into a song, I think that's maybe one of the more difficult things to write. Whereas if you just are messing around with chords, and then some lyrics fit, and some lyrics and melody fit that chord structure, then it might flow a bit quicker. I don't know. That really answers your question.
You can only answer what you can answer. That's not a problem.
I think one of the things that we found with this album is that we'd finished most of the songs when we went into the studio, but there were a handful where we lyrically wanted to, there were things that you want to change. And when you get into that situation and you're kind of up against the clock, that's where the pressure's really on, because all of a sudden you can't think of anything to write, because it's like, we need this now. So I guess if the pressure's not on too badly, then it's kind of,
because I guess if you're always kind of editing, but then if someone is just like, if you're working with a producer and they're like, actually that lyric just isn't good, and then you've got to just pull something out of the bag, and you haven't had the time to really properly think about it, that can be, I don't know,
stifling maybe.
Pressure's on. Indeed. And you've done some shows. You've got a couple more shows lined up as well. How have they gone? I bet you can't wait for the Scotland dates as well.
We did an album launch show. So we did two shows back to back. One in Nottingham in Rough Trade, and then that was a kind of like stripped back show. Really, really lovely, and it was such a nice way to celebrate the release of the album, because we did that actually on the day of release. Which is such a lovely thing to do, because you obviously are really excited about it, and so going out and just playing an intimate show like that and chatting to people about the album is just a lovely experience. And then the album launch show at the Grace in Islington was so much fun. It was just so great. It oversold. It was an absolute packed room. The energy of the night was amazing. It was Saturday. I think it was payday. It was a good day.
Yeah, I can well imagine. Once these dates are kind of out of the way, are you hoping to be doing some more shows?
Yeah, we've got, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that hasn't been announced yet, but we do definitely have some things coming up.
Nice. Festivals too?
Yeah.
Nice. And overseas as well, Europe and to America at some point?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like Europe, this year we really want to focus on Europe. We want to try and play some Irish shows, and then further afield, I mean, we'd be happy, we would go worldwide. But awesome. I think the thing is, at the moment is we really wanted to focus on building our fan base in the UK, whilst it was like kind of the most kind of cost effective way to tour, and now that we're kind of doing that, we want to expand it. So yeah, definitely Europe and then beyond.
Yeah, nice guys, it's been a pleasure having a chat with you.
You too. Thank you.